hackers are clever. You know, hack. I grew up with hacking, meaning also Lubbock, Texas. If people didn't know, is where the Cult of the Dead Cow started, and the Cult of the Dead Cow is the longest running hacking organization in the world. Um, they did a lot of cool things, and it's not like malicious
In
hackers.
Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah, yep, yep. The Cult of the Dead Cow. They're not like a malicious hacking group sitting there stealing stuff. They're the old school hackers, where the word hack means to make something do something that it wasn't intended to do. So if you hacked it, like the purpose of this device is to do X,
Mm-hmm.
but then you get clever with it and now it's doing X, Y, Z, right? So you hacked it. And so you take that principle to get past security. Like you figure out how to make a system do something it wasn't supposed to do to get you access.
Mm-hmm.
So with it comes that you got to keep up on top of that, like because they're clever. They're always thinking of something clever. And so I stay in my IRC is still very relevant. It's an old internet relay chat. It's one of the beginnings of constant chat messagings and stuff. So there's some stuff, old message boards and BBBs and stuff like that. The guys that are still pioneering and doing really clever, that's where they're at. And so I make sure to keep up with. I would say I keep up with the bad guys versus the good guys. Like I keep a pulse on what the hackers are trying to do, and I'm not talking these Google cert like security. That you can't be a security professional unless you know a system. So unless you've been in IT for long enough, it's not possible for you to go take a 4 or 6 month course from Google and then call yourself a security expert. That's how people are. That's why these companies are getting hacked because they don't even know how these systems. They don't know how domain controllers work. They don't know how Windows works. They don't know how networking works. They don't know any of these things. You'd be surprised how full the security industry is on selling fear. Like, oh, we ran a port scan on your on your firewall, and these. I was like, what? The two expected ports were open? Yeah. Like that's not a security vulnerability. Like in my experience, the only hacks I've ever seen on a professional level, and I have seen some big ones. Fiber Rio was a company in Austin, Texas. They were a graphene nano company. These guys were making crazy interesting stuff. Stuff for the rich people to never die type shit. So they came up with this artificial kidney, right? That would have graphene nanotube delivery systems for chemicals. So we do we do chemotherapy, and chemotherapy is like using a shotgun, right? We can't target the bad cells, not with laser focus or anything. So we just bombard the body with chemicals to kill the stuff, right? Now there are chemicals that are really good at killing cancer,
Mm-hmm.
but if you were to try the chemo style of shotgun, it would kill you. So how do you deliver that and with laser precision? Well, everything in our bodies, for the most part, is proteins when it comes to interacting with something. So this company figured out how to encapsulate medicine in these graphene-based capsules, essentially, which in graphene is, but just carbon. But they figured out how to make a capsule that contains medicine that has essentially a protein interface that will only interface with the cells that it's supposed to attack. And then you could deliver very targeted medicine to whatever you needed. So um, the problem is that, with that one, unfortunately, China does force people to steal shit. You know, so in that case, an instance, what they did was they arrested their family, and then the individual was told, "You are going to steal this intellectual property, or your family is never going to see the light of day again." So of course they stole it, right? Wouldn't you? You would. And they now this IP, which hasn't been patented, because the moment you put a patent in, then everybody else knows what the hell you're doing. So there's a lot of companies that have intellectual property that they can't have patents on, because then their competition will know what they're up to. So it's all very hush hush and secret. Well, that got stolen, and we're talking like well over $1 billion worth of research. Just gone. Like now, X company in China's got it, and that's the biggest hack I've ever seen. And the reality is,
China's known for like quote unquote stealing stuff, right?
well, they don't have copyright respect, and or for a long time didn't have the same laws we had.
Yeah.
But they just don't respect copyright, not in that sense. And also, they're not in America, so what are you gonna do? You gonna go over there and do anything about it?
No.
Nope.
No.
Right? So leave it to them to like if they can take it from us and we can't do anything about it. That's
The
them.
cost of doing business, right?
Cost of doing business, and you have to be cognizant of that. So you know, computers don't get hacked anymore. People do. Social engineering has always been the most dangerous and fundamental risk to any infrastructure or any person. And that's where two-factor authentication does kind of like really is helping on that, because social engineering, it just takes tricking people. Like I believe the world's largest bank heist was done over the phone in the lobby of the bank. Yeah. So whenever you whenever you're going to move a certain amount of money, it takes two authorization codes.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a bank manager code, and then there's a special room in all these banks that have these people that say you want to move over $10,000. Well, the government gets involved when the moment you start moving $10,000, and it takes a second code, second authorization to actually move this money. Well, there's this technician that he was working on. It was, I believe, it was in the '80s. He's working on the computer systems at the bank. All the manuals for these computer systems are in that control room, right? So he's in that control room and he's learning, listening, paying attention, and realizes like, oh shit, this is a special room. Obviously, they do something very special here, and he just listened to the conversation. He was like, oh, they're moving money. Like when someone wants to move $1 million, $10 million, whatever, these are the ones that are making the phone calls and authorizing the transactions, and they're giving a passcode. And so he just started hacking the people, and he realized, oh, he knew that there was a passcode involved. So he also knew that people don't have memories like him, and that they're flawed. And if the bank's constantly changing this password, they probably write it down.
Mm-hmm.
And because it's written down in a controlled room that you can't get into, it's safe to leave it on a sticky note. Well, he had eidetic memory. So he saw a sticky note in the president's office with the password, saw the sticky note essentially in that controlled room with the password, put two and two together, and transferred money out of that bank to Russia. He only got caught because he got turned it into diamonds, and he got caught with the diamonds coming back to America. But it was one of the largest bank heists ever, and it was done with a phone. And it's done by hacking people. So, like the reality is getting past a firewall is pretty freaking hard. It's really hard. Unless they're just really stupid or it already came pre-compromised, right? Which is real because, Israel just did those exploding pagers. So yes, they can intercept shipments and do shit. Supply chains can be subverted.
That's some wild shit. Fucking exploding page. That's fucking like that's that kind of wild genius shit right there. I think.
Yeah, that's a hack. Like if they want in, they can get in, and they're gonna go after people to do it. There's actually it's a concept for security. Reason why you split up access, that way people can't be forced, because I told you about the power of negative thought, right, and how you use it for disaster training and awareness for your business, for business continuity. So if your data is worth enough money, what's stopping someone from kidnapping one of your employees' children?
Damn.
And then
that's kind of fucking deep right there.
And then just saying you will do this or your kid dies.
Damn.
Well, the only thing that stops them from doing it now is that one person is no longer capable of just doing that, so it's pointless. But if they could, they would. If I mean, honestly, like if all it took was doing that, shit, everything would be getting robbed. But we separate things and we use security layers on purpose to prevent that, because if you have one point of failure, it's done. And so like the 2FA, things like that.